Hello my friends and welcome back. Happy Tuesday to you. And to make your day or evening even better, I'm gonna begin this video with, you guessed it, kittens on the front line. Before we get to military updates, we need this in our days. Let's go. This is an incredible footage of these guys being evacuated from the front line. And look at this. Some Ukrainian kittens. Oh my god. Cute as hell. First of all, we are evacuating these fellas. As for these ones, we'll see. The soldiers are going to the front to fight. The kittens are going away from the front to have nice cozy homes in Kiev, I hope. These buddies are coming with us today for sure. And their mom as well. Mom is in the back? What? Where is the mom? Oh yeah, he's in the back. I guess their mom was very, scratchy, so they put it in the bag. But they're gonna rescue them all. And for some reason, I've always said it, only Ukrainian soldiers make videos like that. Never seen anything like that coming out of the Russian side. Maybe they don't like cats in Russia or dogs in general. I hope they do. I mean, I feel bad otherwise. But yeah, I'm so glad these kittens got rescued. Look at these cuties. Alright, my friends, I think your daily dose of cuteness is now overflowing and we can go to military updates. Yes, I am stealing minutes of your valuable life to show you kittens. What better way to follow through with kittens than with Russian losses of the past 24 hours? Russians have started their winter offensive all across the front and Ukrainians have started their winter defensive, because we have later news in this video which I'll talk that Ukrainians have knowingly now paused all offensive operations. Well, Russians do the opposite. As you can see, Russia lost KIA manpower, 1,140 soldiers knocked out cold. We have 15 tanks and 19 armored personnel vehicles, which only indicates a very active pushing. And we'll look through some of the Russian offensive operations drone footage in this video to find out how these offensives are really happening. 2 special equipment, 20 vehicles and fuel tanks, most of these done with kamikaze drones, 9 UAVs. Alright my friends, I'll zoom into the southern front, and as you can see, this settlement is Robotyne. It is liberated by the Ukrainian troops, and Russians yesterday tried to take it back. Let's look at the drone photos. Here my friends, you can see one Russian armored personnel vehicle. Here you can see another one, and they are going this way towards Robotyne actually. This road leads to Robotyne, and only 2 of them are charging for some reason. Russians are sending like 2 in Robotyne, 2 in Nova Fedorivka, 2 per settlement. I don't know why. It doesn't work. I wouldn't do it like that. What happened to these vehicles? Well, my friends, this is the next image, and this is already Russians retreating, because what happens in the meantime is one of the armored personnel carriers got hit with Ukrainian anti-tank guided missile. Now this is the other tank, and these troops right here, there is a whole squad actually running this way back to the Russian front, is the squad that was on top of the armored personnel carrier. The carrier got hit, they dismounted, they're all running back now. And this here is the carrier that got hit. Oh, sorry for this big circle here. Now the smoke is coming out, there's nobody in the carrier anymore, and later in this video it burns like a huge campfire, warming the ground next to him. Nobody in it or near it, and it got knocked out cold. This assault failed. But this is also why it gives us an idea why the Russian losses of the past 24 hours were so big. My friends, look at this. Ukrainian troops, this is all 2 squads, I would say, maybe more, in the back of a truck, driving in a snowy forest. Why do I show this? Not much happens here. Well, because this was most of my army training, because at the 2nd Brigade of the Estonian Armed Forces, at the time when I was training there in 2018, we didn't have any armored personnel carriers, we only had these trucks. I know it sounds silly to you. How do you mean? We were infantry. We were not mechanized infantry, we were fully infantry. Only trucks, so they called us the truck battalion. To put it into perspective for you, this is a GoPro footage of my army times as a conscript. I have a lot of GoPro footage, and boom, in the back of a truck in a snowy forest, aiming outside with my trusty AK-4 G3 rifle. Very good rifle, very heavy rifle. Unfortunately, only 20 rounds in the magazine, but it shoots through everything. In the woods, it's a very good weapon because it shoots through trees. And look at that, the truck battalion in its way to becoming the most successful Estonian conscript unit. I'm of course kidding. Now the 2nd Brigade already has armored personnel carriers. I am glad. But at the time, it was only me and my gun and the truck. And also, yeah, there is about 2 squads of us in the back of this one also. So I've been there, my friends. Hello, my friends. This is another call to action because now I do them in every video and I do enjoy it and you react wonderfully. This time we're setting up a Ukrainian United States logistics arm. It goes through Estonia. So if you have any kind of experience in logistics, in sending containers, if you work in logistics, please call Brian or write to him. His information is on the screen. We are trying to get United States, my viewers from United States, sending cars and drones and funnel them to Ukraine. I personally will be delivering them and making videos for you guys. So let's make it happen. Call Brian, tell him I sent to you, add him, tell him to add you to logistics group. Now, my friends, I want to tell you a very quick story, read you a very quick story about a United States hero. He fell on December 9th. His name is Graham Dale, that's the guy on the photo. He fell in Ukraine, he was a volunteer, and how he fell was he was repulsing a Russian attack that came through a defensive line and threatened to surround a Ukrainian unit, and this guy was leaving his defensive position to fight back the attack. So a true hero in my eyes, and I want to take this time to make his story known. A United States Marine veteran born in Ireland who later immigrated to the United States has been killed in Ukraine while repelling an assault by Russian troops that had broken through his unit's line. Graham Dale was killed in close quarters fighting in December 9. He was at least the 10th former United States Marine killed in Ukraine, according to a list compiled by Task and Purpose of United States veterans who have died in Ukraine since 2022. On December 9th, Dale and a team of Ukrainian troops left the safety of their defensive fortifications to prevent a Ukrainian position that was surrounded by Russian troops from falling. Instead of retreating or hiding, he ran into the combat, O'Leary told Task and Purpose. Dale killed multiple enemy soldiers before being wounded. The enemy soldier was stopped due to his actions and those of the Ukrainians with him, which prevented the line from collapsing. This is a true hero, and let's give him honor, Semper Fidelis. Now, my friends, I'll elaborate a little bit more of why Ukrainians have now decided to pause all offensive operations. Of course, local counterattacks are still going on, but nothing big. The summer counteroffensive is officially over and no winter counteroffensives have yet begun. I'll read you a report first. Ukrainian servicemen on the front lines have faced a shortage of artillery shells amid a reduction in aid from allies. General Alexander Tarnavsky, the commander of the Davria operational and strategic grouping of troops, told Reuters. So one of the reasons is the lack of artillery rounds, which is vital for any offensive operations. You can say that without artillery support, effective artillery support, you're not able to attack any kind of position. It is just not possible. It is possible for the Russians because they don't care about the losses, but not for the Ukrainians. Second part would be the lack of air support, which Ukrainians don't have air support on the front, which also renders any kind of offensive operations suicidal. No NATO force ever would start any kind of offensive operations without artillery and air support. They are embedded in any kind of NATO doctrine for a successful offensive. NATO countries expected Ukraine to do their offensive without either of these things. So you go into a boxing match against a very powerful enemy with one hand tied behind your back. This is not a way to fight. So I am behind this decision also to pause these offensive operations to save manpower, to save armored personnel vehicles, to save equipment, morale of the troops, and to wear out the enemy by active defense and striking the logistics of the Russians. Now, before I end this subject, I want to say that whatever is going on in United States internal politics, this is not for Europe to decide or shift blames. For Europe, this message should be that we must wake up. We must decide now. We must act because Ukrainian victory is in European hands. United States is such a blessing, but it's just a blessing. We cannot count on another country to carry us. So I say this message Europe needs to pick up the slack. They need to start carrying their own weight. Every country, Germany, France, the countries in Eastern Europe are already doing it. Poland is doing it. I'm talking about Spain, Germany, France, Britain, Italy, Sweden and Norway are also already doing it with Finland. So if you're from those countries, pressure your government. My friends, now I'll read you a publicly known assassination attempt on Valery Zaluzhny, the chief commander of the armed forces of Ukraine. Zaluzhny confirmed that the wire trap was found in the office he was supposed to use today. I'll tell you this is the room that I have to use today. Yesterday, during an inspection, they found a wire trap, Zaluzhny said. He also confirmed that this office was not his permanent location. So the Russians are trying to take out the leadership of Ukraine every day. And Zelensky has survived many assassination attempts, and this is the first public attempt I know on Zaluzhny. Their lives are not safe, and even in Kiev they risk their lives every day by leading Ukraine and Ukrainian armed forces. So in my eyes, again, I look up to these men. Now, my friends, this is Madar, a most famous drone commander or drone units commander in the armed forces of Ukraine. And most of the time when he makes a video, it is worth watching. But now he has made a full opinionated video, 15 minutes, and I'll read you the most important things from this video. It is a rant on Western media, and a lot of you guys, I know, because I read the comments, watch me because you don't trust the Western media anymore, you don't trust the information, or it is lagging behind. Now, Madar comes out and lashes out against Western media because I do agree with him. Western media wants clicks, of course. We all do. YouTubers also, military bloggers also. But the Western media is ready to sacrifice OPSEC and is ready to sacrifice military ethics to post stories that don't do any good for the armed forces of Ukraine. Western media is free because of the democratic values of the Western world. The Western world and the democratic values are being defended in Ukraine. And now the Western media is publishing stories that are very much hurting Ukraine. I'm not talking about the truth that must be out there. I'm talking about just campaigns, media campaigns that only benefit Putin. Almost propaganda campaigns. Not acknowledging to themselves that they can only publish so freely because Ukraine is defending the freedom and democracy of the entire Western Europe, for example. I'll read you the report. I am addressing you as the commander of UAV strike unit who has been performing combat missions every day since the first day of this operation, and whom the enemy, sparing no expense, personally hunts, just like our crew. Capturing the emotional impressions of military personnel is normal, okay for a Netflix movie. Filming them for a generalized rant about our positions is a shameful and criminal manipulation of conclusions and public opinion. Conclusions about the fallacy of the military plan using the example of a human misfortune. Why are you doing this? To explain the inappropriateness of transferring weapons to us? 90% of the cost of which remains in your country, he means in the United States, boosts and strengthens your economy due to the presence of a constant order. Now, I do want to say that any kind of United States people watching this video, I want to say a personal thank you to you, that you have given so much as a representative of a democratic country. You are the reason your politicians are sending money to Ukraine and sending weapons to Ukraine. So I can't thank you directly for it. So this also gives Estonia the security for freedom and independence in the NATO. So I just want to say this disclaimer out there so you guys wouldn't feel blamed. Why don't you comment on the unprecedented losses of the 104th Airborne Division of the Russian Federation on this small piece of land about the bunker grandfather said that there were no losses there? I think he's talking about Krinky. An entire division on this small bridgehead, Ukrainian bridgehead, as the enemy speakers call it. Why aren't you talking about the D-class 810th Brigade of the Russian Marines, which watered hundreds of hectares of land here with its blood? Why don't you investigate the strange fact of liquidation of General Savatsky, the former division commander of the Gentemirovskaya division, who allegedly was blown up by enemy mine? Ukrainian society is very sensitive. Foreign society does not feel this war. Be careful in drawing conclusions, even if they seem very accurate and profitable to you, because Western media companies, of course, are businesses and clicks mean money. So this sentence here summarizes it all. I call upon the Western media also to think twice, because the reason they are able to exist at all is because somebody somewhere is fighting for these free democratic values that they ride upon. And attacking these values with the intent of making more money is basically shooting yourself in the foot. So I'm not blaming anybody. I'm just opening up the situation of how I see it. And if you agree with me, please put it in the comments. If you don't, also put it in the comments. I like reading people's comments who don't agree with me. This is how I learn. With your careless statements and powerful mouthpieces for delivering information, you influence the fate of an entire people who are fighting for freedom and life. And now, my friends, to give you something to laugh over, because these topics are very serious, like the Kittens, I now bring you the first Russian electric car they have produced, or they are planned to produce. It's real. This is the sign. Look at this. Boom. This is called Amber, the first ever Russian electric vehicle that goes into mass production. Don't be afraid of its appearance. The prototype of Amber Russian car was shown live with this headline. Don't be afraid of its appearance. So they do know it looks... I don't know how it looks, like a blobfish. Also, the name is not Russian. I mean, now this car is advertised in Russia as the first electric car that is fully being put together with only Russian components. But the name is Amber. It's a Latin name. It's not Russian name. And look at this beauty. I mean, oh my God. I don't want to offend anybody's art style or taste, but this is just pure ugliness. It's horrible. It doesn't look good in any way for some... I don't know. Please, let's end the sufferings of this car, please. I mean, it doesn't want to exist. Why do you force it to exist? And finally, my friends, I want to give credit where credit is due, because Denmark has set aside 1.8 billion Danish crowns, or $264 million, to help finance a Swedish initiative to donate CV-90s armored personnel vehicles to Ukraine, the Danish Ministry of Defense said in a statement on Monday. Now, I want to give this credit because this is not the action of Danish government or Danish president or parliament. This is the action of Danish people, because the Western world is a democratic world, and every action of a government is the responsibility and action of the people. So if you are from Denmark, thank you for it. It is done by you if you voted, because then you gave your mandate to this decision. So thank you, Danish people, for picking up the slack, what I was talking about before. If we lose United States support in Europe, we must defend ourselves. And I believe it, and I'm ready to act on it. And I see Danish people think the same. Now, my friends, I'll do my favorite part of the video, and a few days before Christmas we can still do it, and I enjoy it so much. I'm butchering the names to oblivion. The Patreon donators, Patreon supporters, I'll say your name in a way that will haunt you in your nightmares. Molli 63, Göran Hallström, Kalveston Webworks, Dave Adams, and I just spoke to you in Patreon also. Little disclaimer, if you want to speak to me, the comments, they're so numerous on YouTube, it's hard for me to answer, but I do answer every last Patreon message, and daily, so write to me a message in Patreon and let's chat. Jakobos Keltus, Israel Arroyo. Thank you to these 5 people for giving me security, for acting towards the Western world of democratic interest, for acting towards aiding Ukraine. These people make me able to do it. Thank you. Until my next update, my friends, which will be tomorrow. Yes, I'll see you tomorrow. Slava Ukraini, and bye-bye.